What if the life you thought was perfect shattered into a million pieces, only to reveal the true strength you never knew you possessed? And what if the man who broke you one day found himself broken by the woman he underestimated? Before we dive into this emotionally charged tale of resilience, betrayal, and profound transformation, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and tell us in the comments what unexpected moment truly changed your life. Isabella looked at herself in the mirror, meticulously arranging her brown hair. Her eyes, once bright with youthful dreams, now reflected a profound sadness she couldn't quite conceal. The sprawling house, though impossibly luxurious, felt less like a home and more like a gilded cage where she had been trapped for 10 suffocating years. "Isabella, where's my blue shirt?" Alexander's voice boomed from the master bedroom, sharp and demanding. She sighed, knowing another morning of endless reproaches had begun. "It's in the closet, Alexander. I ironed it last night," she responded, striving to keep her voice calm, devoid of the tremor that shook her insides. "I always have to ask you everything," he scoffed, appearing in the doorway, his imposing figure casting a long, oppressive shadow over her. "Can't you be more organized?" Alexander was a remarkably successful man, owner of multiple thriving enterprises, and he never let Isabella forget it. Their routine was always the same. Isabella would prepare his elaborate breakfast, meticulously organize the house, and tirelessly strive to please her husband in every conceivable way. But nothing, it seemed, was ever truly enough. Each day, his criticisms grew sharper, more cutting, chipping away relentlessly at her self-worth. "Look at Robert's wife," Alexander commented casually over his morning coffee, his tone laced with thinly veiled disdain. "She manages 3 businesses, and you do nothing productive with your life." Isabella pressed her lips together, fighting back the sting of tears that threatened to fall. She remembered when they married, how Alexander had so convincingly persuaded her to leave her fulfilling job as a teacher to dedicate herself entirely to their home. Now he twisted that very decision, using it as a weapon to humiliate her, to underscore her supposed inadequacy. During his lavish business dinners, Alexander would introduce her as mere arm candy, an elegant ornament, interrupting her dismissively whenever she attempted to participate in conversations. "My wife doesn't know much about these topics," he would say with a condescending smile that made Isabella wish the very ground would swallow her whole. The nights were even worse. Alexander would return late, reeking of expensive perfume that wasn't hers, blatantly ignoring the elaborate dinners she prepared with meticulous care. "I'm not hungry," he would mumble, disappearing into his study with a glass of whiskey, leaving Isabella utterly alone in the vast, silent house. Isabella constantly found herself wondering how her life had become this gilded prison, this empty charade. The ambitious, spirited young woman she once was seemed like a distant, fading memory, replaced by a woman she barely recognized in the mirror. Lost, adrift, and profoundly unsure of who she had become. One afternoon, while meticulously cleaning Alexander's study, she stumbled upon a glowing message on his forgotten phone. "See you tonight, my love. Teresa." The message shimmered on the screen, a silent, damning confession of the infidelity she had long suspected but desperately tried to ignore. The cold, brutal reality hit her like a crushing, icy wave. Her marriage was not just unhappy. It was a carefully constructed lie, a cruel deception. As she observed the bustling city below from his towering office window, its lights a distant, indifferent glitter, Isabella had no idea that soon, her life would take a dramatic, irreversible turn. One that would force her to rediscover who she truly was beneath the suffocating layers of neglect and bitter deception. What do you think is the deepest pain Isabella carries from her marriage? And how will this betrayal ignite a fire within her? Share your raw emotions in the comments below. If this story of an awakening soul is captivating you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next part of this powerful transformation. That Thursday afternoon, Isabella finally decided to confront Alexander. She waited for him in the main living room, his phone clutched in her hand, the damning photos she'd found on his computer serving as her silent, undeniable evidence. The images showed Alexander with Teresa in various luxury restaurants, sharing kisses and tender caresses that should have belonged only to her. When Alexander finally crossed the threshold, his face hardened, shifting instantly as he saw Isabella sitting in the dim light. "Who is Teresa?" Isabella asked, her voice trembling slightly, but firm. Alexander showed no surprise, no shame. Instead, a cruel smile twisted his lips. "It was only a matter of time before you found out," he responded, loosening his tie, a gesture of casual indifference. "Teresa is everything you are not. She's young, ambitious, intelligent." "How long?" Isabella interrupted, her fists clenched, nails digging into her palms. 6 months. "And you know what, Isabella? They've been the best 6 months of my life." Alexander poured himself a drink as if they were discussing the weather, his casualness a dagger to her heart. "She understands the world of business, knows how to behave in high society. Not like you, who only knows how to be a kept woman." The words struck Isabella like physical blows, each one echoing the years of subtle humiliations. "And our marriage?" Isabella whispered, tears blurring her vision. "The 10 years we spent together? Marriage?" Alexander let out a bitter laugh, a sound devoid of warmth. "This was never a marriage, Isabella. It was a mistake I made when I was young and stupid, and it's time to correct it." He walked to the master bedroom and began pulling Isabella's clothes from the closet, tossing them carelessly onto the floor. "I want you out. Now. You can't do this," Isabella protested, following him, her voice rising in desperation. "This is my house too. Your house." Alexander looked at her with contempt. "Everything is in my name. The house, the cars, the bank accounts. You have nothing." In a matter of minutes, Isabella's belongings were scattered at the grand entrance of the house. Curious neighbors peered from their windows as Alexander threw her last suitcases onto the street. "And don't you dare try to seek legal help," Alexander warned from the doorway, his voice chillingly cold. "My lawyers will destroy you. Besides, with what money would you pay a lawyer?" The heavy front door slammed shut with a deafening thud, leaving Isabella utterly alone on the street, surrounded by her meager belongings. The tears she had held back for years finally burst forth, mixing with the cold rain that had begun to fall. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Teresa. "Thanks for stepping aside, darling. I'll send you an invitation to our wedding." That night, huddled in a cheap, anonymous hotel room, Isabella understood she had hit rock bottom. But in the midst of her profound pain, a tiny spark of determination began to glow. This brutal humiliation would not be her end. It would be her starting point. Have you ever faced a betrayal so deep it changed the course of your life forever? What fuels the fire of your resilience? Share your raw emotions in the comments below. If this story of hitting rock bottom and finding a hidden spark resonates with you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next part of Isabella's incredible journey. The days that followed Alexander's brutal eviction were a living nightmare for Isabella. The cheap hotel consumed her last savings in a week, forcing her to find a more modest room in a distant, anonymous neighborhood. Every call to her supposed friends ended the same way. Awkward excuses and empty promises of calling later. "I'm sorry, Isabella, but you understand it's complicated," Laura, her best friend for years, told her. "Alexander is a very influential man, and my husband does business with him." Doors closed one after another. The social circle she believed was hers turned its back without a moment's hesitation. One desperate morning, she tried to withdraw money from her joint account. The bank teller looked at her with pity. "I'm sorry, madam. The account has been cancelled." Alexander had been meticulously thorough. All her cards were blocked, her accounts empty. Even her cherished jewelry, which she kept in a safe deposit box, had vanished. "Your husband came yesterday with the necessary documents," the bank manager explained, his voice flat. At the restaurant where she used to have leisurely lunches, the maitre d' stopped her at the entrance. "Excuse me, Mrs. Isabella, but we have orders not to serve you." "Your husband?" That is, Mr. Alexander. The humiliations accumulated, each one a fresh cut. One day, while walking through the mall, she saw Teresa, Alexander's mistress, trying on a wedding dress in the city's most exclusive boutique. Through the glass, Teresa looked at her and smiled maliciously, modeling the dress as if it were a triumphant trophy. The nights were especially harsh. In her tiny rented room, Isabella scrolled through old photos on her phone. Images of trips, parties, moments that seemed genuinely happy but now revealed a painful truth. Her entire life had been built on a lie. "Madam, I need this month's rent," the landlady reminded her. "If you can't pay, I'll have to ask you to leave." With her last few pesos, Isabella bought a newspaper and began searching for work. But her decade-long absence from the workforce was an insurmountable obstacle. 10 years without working? Interviewers would ask, looking at her resume with skepticism, their expressions dismissive. One afternoon, sitting on a park bench, she overheard two women talking. "Did you hear? Alexander's already announced his engagement to Teresa. They say the wedding will be the event of the year." Isabella clenched her fists until her knuckles turned white. Rage and impotence consumed her, but beneath them, something else stirred. A fierce determination. She couldn't continue like this. She needed to find a way out, even if it meant starting from the absolute bottom. The corner bistro was anything but glamorous, but it was the only place that offered her a chance. "Do you have any experience as a waitress?" asked Donna Clara, the owner, a robust woman with kind eyes. "No," Isabella admitted, her voice barely a whisper, "but I learn fast." "Well, everyone deserves a chance," Donna Clara responded, handing her a blue apron. "You start tomorrow at 6. What profound impact do you think this desperate new beginning will have on Isabella's spirit? And what hidden strengths do you believe she will uncover? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this raw, emotional story of a new fight for survival has you captivated, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next part of Isabella's transformative journey. The first few weeks at the corner bistro were exhausting. Isabella's hands, once soft and manicured, were now rough and calloused from constant work. Her feet ached after hours of standing, and hot coffee burns became a frequent, painful souvenir of her shifts. But for the first time in years, Isabella felt like she was doing something for herself. "You have to hold the tray like this," Julia, a younger waitress who became her first real friend in a long time, taught her patiently. "And don't let the difficult customers get to you. Here we're all equal." One morning, while cleaning tables, Isabella overheard two customers whispering. "Isn't that Alexander's ex?" one murmured. "Look how she ended up a waitress." Tears threatened to sting her eyes, but Isabella held firm, refusing to let them see her break. Julia, who had overheard everything, approached during their break. "You know what?" Julia said, sharing her sandwich. "My mom always says that falling isn't what matters, but how you get up. And you, my friend, you are getting up with dignity." Slowly, Isabella found a routine. She woke before dawn, arrived early to prepare the bistro, and used every free moment to learn about the business. Donna Clara, the owner, noticed Isabella's dedication and began teaching her basic administration. "You have a good head for numbers," Donna Clara observed one afternoon as they reviewed inventory. "And customers appreciate you. There's something special about you, girl." The salary was modest, but Isabella learned to manage it meticulously. She rented a more decent room, started saving every peso, and at night, she studied basic accounting through free online videos. "I won't always be a waitress," she confided to Julia one night as they locked up the bistro. "This is just the beginning." "I know," Julia responded with a knowing smile. "You have that look, like you're planning something big." In her small room, Isabella taped a piece of paper to the wall with a phrase that had become her mantra. "Never again will I depend on anyone." Every night, before sleeping, she read it aloud, promising herself that her story was just beginning. The hard work and daily humiliations wouldn't break her. For the first time in her life, Isabella was building something of her own, even if it was from the most basic foundations. What profound impact do you think Isabella's newfound independence will have on her? And what kind of big plan do you imagine she's secretly forming? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story of resilience and self-reliance inspires you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next thrilling chapter. It was a Tuesday like any other at the corner bistro. Isabella was wiping down tables, humming a soft tune, when the bell above the door jingled. Without looking up, she pulled out her order pad and approached the new table. "Good morning, what can I get you?" The words froze in her throat. Sitting across from her was Marcus Thorne, her first love from university, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit that seemed utterly out of place in the modest cafe. "Isabella?" Surprise in his voice was genuine, a flicker of disbelief. "Is that really you?" "Yes, it's me," she responded, acutely aware of her stained apron and her carelessly tied-back hair. "Black coffee, as always?" 15 years, Marcus mused, a faint smile touching his lips, his eyes studying every detail of her face. "And you still remember how I take my coffee?" "Sit with me, please," he urged. "I'm working, Marcus." 5 minutes. "It's the least you owe me after all this time." Donna Clara, who had been observing the scene from behind the counter, gave Isabella a subtle nod of approval. Reluctantly, Isabella sat down, fidgeting with her order pad. "What happened, Isabella?" Marcus asked, his voice gentle. "The last I heard, you were married to, what was his name?" "Alexander," she responded dryly. "We're no longer together." Marcus nodded, connecting the dots. News of the scandal had circulated through the business world, though he never imagined Isabella would end up like this. "Let me help you," he offered. "I have several businesses." "I could." "No," Isabella interrupted, shaking her head. "I appreciate your intention, but I don't need charity." "It's not charity, it's an opportunity," Marcus insisted, his gaze piercing. The same Isabella the first knew, the one who wanted to conquer the world. "Where is she?" "That Isabella no longer exists," she responded, rising from the table, a steely edge to her voice. "Anything else with your coffee?" "Yes." Marcus pulled a sleek card from his wallet. "My number. When you're ready to remember who you truly were, call me." That night, in her small apartment, Isabella stared at Marcus's card. The logo of his prominent companies gleamed in golden letters, a stark, almost mocking contrast to her current situation. She remembered her university days, when she and Marcus would dream of the future. He had always believed in her, even when their paths diverged. "Why now?" she whispered to the darkness, tucking the card into a drawer. But a part of her, one that had been dormant for years, was slowly beginning to stir. Do you think Isabella should take Marcus up on his offer? Or should she continue to build her life completely on her own terms? What would be the biggest risk for her? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this unexpected encounter has sparked your curiosity, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next part of Isabella's incredible journey. For a week, Isabella stubbornly ignored Marcus's card. She continued her routine at the corner bistro, but his words resonated in her mind, a persistent echo. Where is the Isabella who wanted to conquer the world? One Thursday, Marcus appeared again. "The coffee here is surprisingly good," he said, settling onto a stool at the counter. "Or perhaps it's the waitress? Are you stalking me?" Isabella asked, pouring coffee without him even needing to ask. "No, I'm just persistent with good investments." "Investments? Your potential, Isabella. I see it as clearly as I did 15 years ago." Marcus's gaze was unwavering, piercing. "I know you refused my help, but at least listen to my proposal." Donna Clara intervened, her kind eyes urging Isabella. "My child, take a break. I'll handle the counter." At a secluded table, Marcus explained his idea. He needed someone to lead a new project in his company, Thorne Solutions. Someone with natural business intelligence, but without the ingrained vices of the corporate world. "You would start from the bottom, of course," he clarified, "but with a genuine opportunity to grow." Why me? Isabella asked, her voice tinged with skepticism. There are thousands of more qualified people. Because I remember the student who got top grades without effort, the one who organized university events better than professionals, the one who had a unique vision for business. That Isabella isn't dead. She's just sleeping. It's time for her to wake up. Isabella looked at her hands, rough and calloused from her bistro work. I'm scared, she admitted, her voice barely a whisper. The last time I trusted someone. I'm not Alexander, Marcus interrupted, his voice firm but compassionate. I'm not offering you a rescue. I'm offering you an opportunity to rescue yourself. That night, after closing the bistro, Julia found Isabella deep in thought. Are you going to accept? Her friend asked. How do you know? Because ever since that man appeared, your eyes shine differently, as if you've remembered something important. Isabella embraced Donna Clara and Julia, a heartfelt gesture of gratitude. I promise I'll come visit you, she vowed. You better, Donna Clara responded with tears in her eyes. And when you're a successful businesswoman, don't forget where you started. The next day, Isabella walked into the imposing building of Thorn Solutions. Her clothes were modest, bought with her bistro savings, but her posture was different. For the first time in years, she walked tall with unwavering determination. Good morning, Marcus greeted her in his office, a faint smile on his lips. Ready to begin? Isabella nodded, feeling something profound awaken inside her. This wasn't the end of her story of overcoming challenges. It was just the true beginning. What profound impact do you think Isabella's new corporate environment will have on her? And what does it truly mean to rescue yourself? Share your insights in the comments below. If this story of resilience and unexpected success is captivating you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next thrilling chapter. The first month at Thorn Solutions was brutal. Isabella started in the sales department, but the relentless pace and cutthroat competitiveness of the corporate environment overwhelmed her. Her first few meetings were a disaster. She'd stumble over financial terms, feeling utterly out of place in conversations that revolved around market shares and quarterly reports. But then, something shifted. You have a natural gift for this, Sophia, her supervisor, commented after Isabella closed her first significant sale. You know how to read people, how to understand what they truly need. During team meetings, Isabella began to shine. Her proposals were innovative, brilliantly blending her direct customer experience from the corner bistro with the corporate strategies she was rapidly learning. Your presentation on the new product line was excellent, Marcus told her one afternoon, visiting her small office. How did you come up with that approach? At the bistro, I learned that every client is a different world, she responded simply. We don't sell products. We sell solutions to specific problems. Marcus smiled, remembering the brilliant university student he had met years ago. You know, Alexander was an idiot for not seeing your potential. Alexander saw exactly what he wanted to see, Isabella replied, without a trace of bitterness in her voice. Someone he could control. But that doesn't matter anymore. Weeks turned into months. Isabella absorbed knowledge like a sponge, staying late to study complex financial terms, intricate market strategies, and advanced business management. Her colleagues noticed her relentless dedication. It's incredible, Mr. Davison, the financial director, commented to Marcus. She has an analytical capacity that many executives with years of experience would envy. One afternoon, during a crisis with a major client, Isabella took the initiative. While everyone else panicked, she maintained her calm and developed a brilliant strategy that not only saved the crucial contract but improved it, securing even better terms. How did you know what to do? Marcus asked later, his admiration evident. When you've hit rock bottom, she responded, a quiet strength in her voice. You learn to see crises as opportunities. In her apartment, now more comfortable though still modest, Isabella created a dedicated study corner. The walls were covered with notes, charts, and business plans. Her mind, dormant for years during her marriage, flourished with new ideas and ambitious projects. One morning, while reviewing quarterly results, Isabella realized something profound. She was no longer the frightened woman who had walked out of Alexander's house. This new version of herself was stronger, more capable, more real. The talent was always there, Marcus told her during a working dinner. You just needed the opportunity to rediscover it. Isabella smiled, knowing this was only the beginning of her astonishing transformation. What does it truly mean to find your strength after hitting rock bottom? And how do you think Isabella's unique background gives her an edge in the corporate world? Share your insights in the comments below. If this story of resilience and unexpected success is captivating you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next thrilling chapter. The changes in Isabella weren't just professional. Her way of dressing, of speaking, of moving through the world had evolved. She no longer lowered her gaze when speaking or constantly apologized. The quiet, self-assured confidence she exuded was magnetic, drawing people in. We need you to lead Project Davison, Marcus announced during a crucial executive meeting. It's a $50 million account. The other executives exchanged surprised glances. It was a pivotal project for the company, and Isabella had only been with them for 8 months. Are you sure? Mr. Davison asked Marcus. It's an enormous responsibility. Completely, Marcus responded, his voice firm, unwavering. Isabella has exactly what we need. In the following weeks, Isabella immersed herself completely in the project. Her nights were filled with strategic planning and international calls. During the day, she led a team of 20 people, earning their respect not by imposition, but by sheer competence and a genuine collaborative spirit. It's different working with you, Chris, one of the analysts, commented to her. You don't treat us like subordinates, but as true collaborators. The project advanced successfully, surpassing all expectations, but something more profound was happening beneath the surface. Marcus and Isabella were spending more and more time together, working late, sharing business dinners that subtly transformed into personal conversations. Do you remember our first date at the university? Marcus asked one night while they reviewed documents, a nostalgic smile on his face. That horrible coffee shop near campus where the waiter spilled soda on your new shirt, Isabella completed, smiling at the memory. But I can't go there, Marcus. I can't. I know, he responded softly, his gaze filled with understanding. You have to heal first. I understand. Isabella focused on the work, but her emotions were complicated. The unspoken attraction between them was palpable, a silent hum of connection, but the deep-seated fear of repeating past mistakes held her back, a formidable wall. One afternoon during a crucial presentation, Isabella shone brilliantly. Her complete mastery of the subject, her captivating stage presence, her ability to respond to difficult questions with effortless grace impressed everyone in the room. Project Davison closed successfully, exceeding all expectations. You are an extraordinary woman, Marcus told her at the celebration dinner, his eyes reflecting her triumph. You always were, but now everyone can see it. Thank you for believing in me, she responded, her voice sincere. But this achievement is mine. I know, he smiled, his eyes twinkling, and that's what makes it even more special. In her magnificent new office, now on the executive floor, Isabella gazed at the city below, her reflection in the glass revealing a confident, powerful woman. The wounds of the past were still there, faint scars, but they no longer defined her future. The phone rang. It was Julia, her friend from the corner bistro. How's my favorite businesswoman? Julia teased. Busy, but happy? Isabella responded, a genuine smile in her voice. Truly happy for the first time. News of Isabella's meteoric rise quickly spread through the corporate world. She was named CEO of Thorn Innovations, Marcus's most promising division. Economic newspapers highlighted her brilliant management of Project Davison and her astonishing ascent. It's incredible how she transformed the sales department, executives whispered in corporate hallways. From an unknown to the executive of the year, high society, which once shunned her, now openly courted her. Invitations to exclusive events arrived daily. This time, however, Isabella walked through the main doors, her own achievements serving as her unassailable credentials. "Mrs. Morales, would you grant us an interview?" A journalist from Modern Businesswoman magazine asked. "Your story inspires so many women." The very people who had once turned their backs on her now sought her friendship. Laura, her old best friend, tried to contact her multiple times. "Isabella, darling, long time no see." Laura cornered her at a charity event. "I always knew you were special." "Really?" Isabella responded with a polite, cool smile. "You didn't seem so sure when I needed your help." In board meetings, Isabella proved to be a formidable strategist. Her personal experience gave her a unique perspective on clients' real needs, and under her leadership, Thorne Innovations doubled its profits in 6 months. "Your success is due to your authenticity," Marcus told her during a business dinner. "You don't try to imitate anyone. You've created your own leadership style." Isabella's office on the top floor of the corporate building was a testament to her evolution. Photos with business leaders, awards, and recognitions adorned the walls, but in a discreet corner, she kept a small, framed photo of the corner bistro team, a constant reminder of her roots. "You know what's most satisfying?" she confided to Julia during one of their regular bistro visits. "It's not the money or the power. It's knowing that I did it myself." Her new status opened doors that had once been closed. She was invited to give lectures at universities, where she shared her story of overcoming adversity, notably without ever mentioning Alexander. She didn't need to use her past as a crutch. Her presence spoke for itself. Business magazines described her as the new face of female leadership. Her management style, which combined efficiency with empathy, became a case study in business schools. "What's your secret?" a young student asked during a conference. "There's no secret," Isabella responded. "Just hard work, authenticity, and the willingness to get up after every fall." In her personal life, Isabella had found a profound balance. She maintained a small but fiercely loyal circle of true friends, and her relationship with Marcus, though complex, was built on mutual respect and deep admiration. One afternoon, while signing multi-million-dollar contracts, her executive assistant informed her that Alexander had tried to secure an appointment with her. "Tell him I'm busy," Isabella responded without looking up. "Very busy building my empire." What do you think is the ultimate irony of Isabella's success as Alexander's life begins to unravel? And what lesson do you believe Alexander is about to learn the hard way? Share your insights in the comments below. If this story of poetic justice is captivating you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next part of their dramatic tale. Meanwhile, as Isabella's success soared, Alexander's life began to unravel. It started with small signs that he, blinded by his arrogance and Teresa's toxic affection, failed to see. "I need a new car, darling," Teresa would insist. "That sleek sports car we saw the other day would be perfect for me." Alexander, anxious to keep his young fiancée happy, spent without measure. Credit card debts accumulated, and expenses far outstripped income. Teresa had a special gift for finding new ways to spend money. "Another party?" his worried accountant asked. "Mr. Thorne, the numbers aren't adding up. Your investments are losing value, and expenses are excessive." But Alexander wouldn't listen. He was too busy trying to impress Teresa and her circle of friends, all much younger than him, all experts at spending other people's money. "I have an incredible investment opportunity," Teresa told him one night. "My friend Chris has this cryptocurrency business. It's guaranteed, darling. We can't lose." Alexander invested $500,000 in Chris's scheme. 3 weeks later, the money had vanished, along with Chris. "You guaranteed me it was safe," he yelled at Teresa. "Don't yell at me," she retorted, her voice menacing. "Or do you want everyone to know how you used to treat your ex-wife?" Problems multiplied. Several of his major clients abandoned him, preferring to do business with more stable companies. Rumors about his financial difficulties began to circulate in the business world. "Alexander is finished," they whispered at corporate cocktails. "They say he's selling properties to cover debts." One morning, Alexander arrived at his office to find several employees packing their things. His company was in free fall, and the smartest ones were already seeking new horizons. "Mr. Thorne," his assistant nervously intercepted him. "The bank called. They want to schedule an urgent meeting about your loans." Debts piled up like vultures circling overhead. Every desperate decision only worsened his situation. Teresa, meanwhile, began to distance herself. "I need time to think," she told him one night after he refused to buy her a diamond bracelet. "Perhaps we should postpone the wedding." The final blow came when he discovered Teresa had emptied his last bank accounts and vanished with her supposed yoga instructor. "I'm sorry, love," read the note she left, "but I didn't marry you to be poor. Thanks for the good times." Sitting in his increasingly empty office, Alexander gazed out the window at the Thorne Innovations building, where he knew Isabella now held a prominent position. The cruel irony of the situation was not lost on him. "Sir," his assistant interrupted, "the movers are here. They say they have to clear out the office today." Alexander nodded, defeated. In less than a year he had lost everything: his money, his reputation, and his pride. And the worst part was knowing that he himself had caused his own destruction. The Grand Business Gala was the most exclusive event of the year. In the opulent Imperial Hotel, Rio de Janeiro's elite gathered to celebrate the sector's achievements. This year, the name on everyone's lips was Isabella Morales. Is it true she doubled Thorne Innovations' profits in just 6 months? Guests whispered excitedly. Isabella arrived arm in arm with Marcus, resplendent in an elegant black gown that accentuated her figure. Her presence caused a momentary hush in the ballroom. She was no longer Alexander Thorne's timid wife. She was a force in her own right, a radiant light. "You shine," Marcus whispered as he guided her through the room. "Though I think some are more impressed by last quarter's numbers than by your dress." "Numbers never lie," she responded with a confident smile. At the other end of the ballroom, Alexander saw her enter. He wore a suit that, though still expensive, showed signs of wear. His face had aged years in mere months. "Isabella," he murmured, almost choking on his champagne. He noticed her, of course. It was impossible not to see the stark contrast. As she ascended, he descended. But she felt no joy in his misfortune, only a strange sense of closure. "Do you want to leave?" Marcus asked, noticing Alexander. "No," she responded firmly. "This is my moment." During dinner, Isabella was the keynote speaker. Her speech on innovation and leadership captivated the audience. Alexander, seated at a secluded table, watched her with a mixture of awe and crushing regret. "Miss Morales," a group of investors approached her after the speech. "Your vision for the future of the market is fascinating." Alexander tried to approach her several times during the night, but there was always someone else wanting to talk to Isabella. She was the center of attention, the rising star everyone wanted to meet. "You know what's most ironic?" Marcus commented as they danced. "He never saw your true worth, because he only saw what he wanted to see. A trophy, a possession," Isabella completed. Finally, near the end of the night, Alexander managed to intercept her near the bar. "Isabella, No," she interrupted him softly. "There's nothing to say, Alexander. You look," he stammered. "Different," she finished for him. "I am different. I always was. You just never noticed." The conversation was cut short by the clinking of glasses. The president of the business association was announcing the entrepreneur of the year. When Isabella's name resonated through the ballroom, Alexander froze. She walked onto the stage, radiant, powerful, as the room erupted in applause. Her acceptance speech was brief, but impactful. "Success isn't about defeating others," she said, her gaze briefly meeting Alexander's. "It's about overcoming our own limits." When she stepped down from the stage, Alexander had already left, leaving behind a half-empty glass and the phantom of what once was. What do you think is the ultimate form of poetic justice in a story of betrayal and transformation? And what message do you believe Isabella's triumph sends to the world? Share your insights in the comments below. If this powerful victory has you cheering, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the final, inspiring chapter. The days following the grand gala were a torture for Alexander. His image appeared in the social pages, but not as the successful businessman he once was, but as a footnote in Isabella's triumph. The entrepreneur of the year's ex-husband was seen leaving the event early, the newspapers reported. Photos showed him gaunt, with deep circles under his eyes and a crumpled suit. In his small rented apartment, a stark contrast to the mansion he once shared with Isabella, Alexander spent hours staring at old photographs and newspaper clippings. How could I have been so stupid? He wondered, as he drank directly from a bottle of cheap whiskey. His calls were no longer answered. The very businessmen who once flattered him now avoided him, fearing his bad luck was contagious. The doors that once opened at his name now slammed shut. "I'm sorry, Mr. Thorne," the hotel manager told him. "Your membership has been revoked due to lack of payment." One desperate afternoon, he tried to enter the offices of Thorne Innovations. "I have to see Isabella," he insisted at the reception. "Tell her Alexander Thorne is here." "I'm sorry, sir," the receptionist responded with a mixture of pity and firmness. "Ms. Morales is in an important meeting." As he was escorted out of the building, he saw Isabella and Marcus leaving together, laughing about something. She looked radiant, confident, powerful. Everything he had tried to suppress in her now shone with a fierce light of its own. "Isabella!" he shouted. But his voice was lost in the city traffic. The rumors about his downfall multiplied. "Did you hear Thorne is living on loans? They say Teresa even took his gold cufflinks. He seems to be drinking too much." The final humiliation came when he tried to get a job at a smaller company. "Your reputation precedes you, Mr. Thorne," they told him. "We can't take the risk." In a seedy bar, where he now spent most of his afternoons, Alexander overheard a news report on a small TV screen about Thorne Innovations' plans for international expansion and new technologies. "She was always like that," he muttered to himself. I just kept her locked up." The bartender, accustomed to his drunken monologues, poured him another drink without being asked. "You know what's the worst part?" Alexander continued, talking to no one in particular. "It's not losing the money or even the status. It's knowing that I had a diamond in my hands, and I treated it like glass." The news continued to trickle in. Isabella expanding her empire, closing multimillion-dollar deals, shining at every event. Meanwhile, Alexander sank deeper and deeper into his misery, consumed by regret and bitterness. One morning, looking at his stained bathroom mirror, Alexander finally faced the truth. It wasn't Isabella who had been empty all those years. It was him. The rain was falling heavily when Alexander decided to make his final, desperate attempt. He waited outside the Thorne Innovations building for hours, soaked to the bone and trembling, until he saw Isabella emerge. "Please, just 5 minutes," he pleaded, stepping into her path, his voice a raw whisper. Isabella observed him. The cheap, ill-fitting suit, the face swollen from alcohol, the tremor in his hands. Her bodyguards tensed, ready to intervene, but she stopped them with a quiet gesture. She agreed to 5 minutes, leading him to a nearby cafe. "I love you, Isabella," Alexander blurted out as soon as they sat down, his voice cracking. "I've always loved you. I was an idiot. We can restart." Isabella maintained her composure, taking a sip of her coffee while studying him. The man who had once terrified her now seemed small, pathetic. "You know what's funny, Alexander?" she said, her voice calm, almost detached. "For years, I believed I needed you, that without you, I was nothing. Throwing me out of the house was the best gift you ever gave me." "It was a mistake," he interrupted, desperate. "I was blinded by Teresa, by my ego. You're the only woman who truly—" "No," Isabella cut him off. "I'm not the only one. I'm just the one who's succeeding now. If I were on the street, you wouldn't even look at me." Tears began to stream down Alexander's face. "I can change. Give me a chance. I have contacts still." Contacts. Isabella smiled sadly. The same ones who abandoned you now? No, Alexander. I didn't come here to humiliate you. I came to close this chapter. What does Marcus have that I don't? He asked, his voice breaking. Respect, Isabella responded, her gaze steady. For me, for my work, for who I am. Something you never understood. Alexander tried to take her hand, but she gently withdrew it. I'm ruined, Isabella. I have nothing. You could help me. How you helped me when you threw me onto the street. Her voice was firm, but devoid of bitterness. No, Alexander. Your situation is a result of your decisions. Just as my success is a result of mine. What will you do? Alexander sobbed. Do what I did, Isabella said. Start from zero. Learn. Grow. But this time, do it for yourself, not to impress others. She stood, leaving money for the coffee on the table. Before walking out, she paused and looked at him one last time. Thank you, Alexander. Why? He asked, confused. For showing me how strong I can be. Goodbye. Alexander watched her walk away under the rain, her elegant figure disappearing among the bustling crowd. He remained there alone, Isabella's words echoing in his mind. Outside, her driver opened the car door. Everything okay, madam? He asked, concerned. Yes, she responded, looking back at the cafe one last time. Everything is exactly as it should be. The city's most exclusive restaurant buzzed with activity that night. At the main table, Marcus and Isabella dined, surrounded by the country's most influential business leaders. The engagement ring on her left hand caught the candlelight, sparking murmurs of admiration. Did you hear? A socialite whispered to her companion. They say the wedding will be the event of the year. Alexander, seated in a dark corner of the bar, watched the scene with a mix of pain and resignation. He had entered wearing his last decent suit, spending the little he had left on a drink he hadn't even touched. It's funny, Marcus said loudly, making sure Alexander could hear. Some men hold a treasure in their hands and don't know how to value it. Others wait years for the opportunity to show what true love can do. Isabella's cheeks flushed slightly. It's the truth, my love, Marcus continued, raising his glass. I propose a toast to the most extraordinary woman I've met, and to the future we will build together. The guests raised their glasses, and Alexander felt each word like a stab. The contrast couldn't have been more painful. He, hidden in the shadows, while Isabella shone under the spotlights. More wine, sir? The bartender asked Alexander. No, I'm leaving, he responded, getting up with difficulty. As he passed the main table, Marcus stopped him. Alexander, what a surprise to see you here. Did you hear the good news? Silence fell over the table. All eyes alternated between Alexander, Marcus, and Isabella. Congratulations, Alexander mumbled, his voice barely audible. You should stay and celebrate, Marcus insisted, his bright smile concealing a deeper satisfaction. After all, if it weren't for you, Isabella and I never would have reconnected. Isabella watched the scene with a mix of emotions. She felt no pleasure in Alexander's humiliation, but she couldn't deny the poetic justice of the moment. Enough, Marcus, she said softly, touching his arm. Alexander took the opportunity to escape, stumbling slightly as he headed for the exit. Suppressed laughter followed him to the door. In the street, the rain had begun to fall. Without an umbrella and stripped of all dignity, Alexander walked aimlessly, his worn shoes splashing in puddles. Alexander! Marcus's voice reached him on the sidewalk. One last piece of advice. When you lose everything, remember you dug your own grave. Alexander didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. Marcus's victory was complete. He had Isabella's love, the respect of the business world, and the satisfaction of seeing his old rival utterly defeated. As the taxi pulled away, carrying the happy couple, Alexander remained in the rain, a mere ghost of the man he once was. In his pocket, the bar receipt marked his last expense in the world he once dominated. Here's part 11, the final part of your story. Part 11. a legacy of freedom. The following months witnessed Alexander Thorne's final, devastating downfall. The streets that once saw him parade in luxury cars now saw him wandering aimlessly, a lost ghost searching for any opportunity to reclaim some fragment of his former glory. His days became a depressing routine. He woke late in his cheap hotel room, paid for week by week with the meager remnants of his fortune. Empty bottles accumulated in the corners, silent, damning witnesses to his nights of self-pity and despair. "Mr. Thorne," the hotel manager told him one morning, his voice flat, "if you can't pay this week, you'll have to leave." He tried desperately to contact his former partners, but doors slammed shut before he could even explain himself. His name, once synonymous with power and success, now provoked looks of pity and abruptly interrupted conversations. One afternoon, desperate, he visited the building where his company once stood. The new owner had changed everything. The logo, the colors, even the name on the entrance. "Excuse me, sir, can I help you?" the security guard asked, noting his disheveled appearance. "No, just looking," Alexander responded, walking away with his head bowed, his shoulders slumped in defeat. In the city's dim, seedy dive bars, he became a familiar figure, the fallen businessman who would recount stories of his former fortune to anyone who would listen, in exchange for a drink. "I was somebody," he would repeat, his voice thick with alcohol. "I had everything. Money, power, a beautiful woman." One afternoon, as he walked through the bustling financial district, he saw his reflection in a towering building's glass facade. He barely recognized the man staring back at him. Messy, unkempt hair, wrinkled, stained clothes, eyes hollowed out by endless sleepless nights. "What happened to me?" he whispered to his reflection. The answer came in the form of a discarded newspaper, lying on a park bench. In the business section, a triumphant photo of Isabella announced the international expansion of Thorne Innovations. Her radiant smile contrasted sharply with the bitter, distorted memories Alexander held of her. He tried to write her a letter, but the words felt hollow, pathetic. Every draft ended up crumpled in the trash, along with the last vestiges of his dignity. "Karma is real," commented a former employee who recognized him on the street. "Everything he did, all the harm he caused, is finally catching up to him." The irony was not lost on Alexander. He, who had humiliated so many, who had treated people as mere stepping stones on his ladder to success, now experienced the very same crushing indifference he had once so freely given. One night, sitting on a park bench, he took out his worn wallet. Among its folds, he found an old photo of his wedding with Isabella. She smiled, genuinely happy, while he, in the background, looked at the camera with arrogant self-satisfaction. "I'm sorry," he murmured to the photograph, before a sudden gust of wind swept it away, losing it forever in the darkness of the night. Isabella's office, on the top floor of Thorne Innovations, offered a breathtaking panoramic view of the city. From there, she could clearly see the building where she had once lived with Alexander, but she no longer felt anything when she looked at it. The past was just that, the past. "The last quarter's results are exceptional," Sophia, now her executive assistant, commented. "Shares are up 40% since you took control." Isabella smiled, reviewing the reports. Her desk was filled with bold new projects, ambitious expansion plans, and innovative proposals. Each document represented a victory, not over Alexander, but over her own deeply rooted fears and insecurities. "Did you see the news about Alexander?" Sophia asked cautiously. "Yes," Isabella responded calmly. "It's sad to see someone fall like that, but everyone reaps what they sow." The wedding with Marcus was approaching, but it wasn't the sole center of her life. Their relationship was built on mutual respect and profound admiration, not on the painful dependence that had characterized her previous marriage. "Are you ready for the interview?" Marcus asked, poking his head into her office. Fortune magazine had chosen Isabella for its cover. "From waitress to mogul, the incredible story of Isabella Morales," read the headline. During the interview, the journalist inevitably touched upon the topic of Alexander. How do you feel seeing your ex-husband in his current situation? Isabella paused, carefully choosing her words. I feel no satisfaction in his downfall. What I feel is profound gratitude for the invaluable lesson I learned. Our worth doesn't depend on others, but on ourselves. That afternoon, she visited the corner bistro. Donna Clara greeted her with a warm, maternal hug. Look at you, the old woman said proudly, her eyes twinkling. I always knew you were special. I learned more here than at any university, Isabella responded, sitting in her old spot at the counter. Julia, now the bistro manager, joined them. Remember your first day? You were so scared. The three women laughed, sharing fond memories. Isabella had insisted on keeping her investment in the bistro anonymous, allowing Donna Clara to remain at the helm, ensuring the heart of the place remained unchanged. Back in her sprawling office, Isabella found an unmarked letter on her desk. It was from Alexander, but she didn't even open it. She no longer needed his words, his apologies, or his regrets. What do I do with this? Sophia asked, pointing to the letter. File it, Isabella responded. It's part of a story that's already ended. As the sun set over the vibrant city, Isabella contemplated her reflection in the window. She was no longer the frightened woman Alexander had brutally expelled from his house. She was a complete woman, strong, free. True victory, she thought, isn't about money or power. It's about finding yourself. The phone rang. Another successful business deal, another exciting opportunity, another confident step forward. Isabella smiled, knowing that her story was just beginning. The Ritz Hotel ballroom gleamed with golden lights during the annual business gala. Isabella, radiant in a stunning red gown, walked onto the podium to receive the prestigious Entrepreneur of the Decade award. Beside her, Marcus looked on with genuine pride and unwavering love. Many ask me about the secret to success, she began her powerful speech. The truth is, there are no secrets, only hard work, unwavering determination, and the profound capacity to believe in yourself, even when no one else does. Among the captivated audience, Donna Clara and Julia applauded with tears in their eyes, a constant, loving reminder of where her extraordinary journey had truly begun. A young journalist approached her after the ceremony. Mrs. Morales, what do you feel knowing your ex-husband was recently seen working as a salesman in a small store? Isabella paused, thoughtful, her gaze distant for a moment. I wish him the best. Sometimes we need to lose everything to find our true path. Later that night, on the hotel terrace, Marcus hugged her from behind as they gazed at the illuminated city below. Are you happy? He asked, his voice soft. More than happy, she responded, resting her head on his shoulder. I am at peace. Isabella's story became a powerful symbol of overcoming adversity. At the universities where she now gave lectures, young women looked at her with admiration, dreaming of following in her footsteps. But her greatest satisfaction didn't come from awards or public recognition, but from the profound freedom she had found. The freedom to be herself, to make her own decisions, to build her own destiny. And as the night deepened around them, Isabella smiled, knowing that her true victory hadn't been in surpassing Alexander, but in having found herself in the process. The best revenge, she thought, is to be genuinely happy. Hello everyone. If this story of love, overcoming adversity, and poetic justice touched your heart, don't hesitate to like it and share it with your friends and family. This is one of those stories that reminds us there is always light at the end of the tunnel and that true love arrives when we least expect it. Your support helps us continue creating content that inspires you. And if you'd like to see more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate notifications. We'd love to know what country you're watching us from. Tell us in the comments. Your opinion is very important to us and helps us create stories that resonate with our audience.